Hey, welcome back to Crimes and Closets. This is Christy in my closet in St. Louis.
And this is Beth in my closet in North Carolina.
In St. Louis, the home of the cicadas.
Yeah. Aren't they called locust too? Is that a thing? Or are they different?
No.
I think they're the same dude, and it is bananas up in there. You made the news. You're on the news, St. Louis.
Like, for real, I kind of feel like they need to call the National Guard.
Like, and to do what? Fog your city?
I have no idea, but something needs to be done because I don't even want to run outside because I got literally hit by 5 of them as I just ran out my front door. Like, they just run into you.
Oh, and they look like roaches. Like, they are not pleasant bugs to look. You know what I mean?
They're ugly. They are ugly and nasty looking. And my mom's like, they don't hurt you. And I'm like, yeah, they don't hurt you, but you don't want that on you? Like, no.
Oh, no. Mm-mm. Especially, okay, so guys, she sent me a picture of, was it the middle school?
Yeah. Uh-huh.
And literally a wall of them. Mm-hmm. Like the whole entire side of the school was black. I mean, it was covered in these bugs. And I was like, that is some Australian stuff going on up in there. Like, you know, Australia, like, no offense to Australia. We love you and we want to come see you. But like, you see, like, the people post the videos where it's like an entire house covered in scorpions or like walls of spiders or whatever. That's what it looked like. Mm-hmm. It's like otherworldly.
Yeah, I'm done. And my middle guy, you know, he knows everything about everything. He was telling me, which I'm totally going to say all of this wrong because I was listening to him, but I don't retain stuff as well as he does. But he was saying how they're like, you know, they've been living in the ground for 17 years. Mm-hmm. And they are coming out to mate, lay eggs in the ground and die. Like, that's it. And he's like, they're basically babies. They just came out and they're babies. And so they're hitting you because they have no like fight or flight thing. Anyway, whatever, like instinct. So they like fly, and instead of like, oh, I'm about to hit somebody, like they turn a different direction. They're just like, douche, keep going.
Oh my gosh. So they're stupid too. Great.
At least what he told me. I have no idea if he's right. I
totally think he's right. Yeah. Because I know they only live, I think I remember when this happened when I was a kid. Mm-hmm. And I mean, obviously it's happened several times in my lifetime because 17 years I've lived several of those. But I specifically remember, I guess in my hometown or whatever, one year it was like you guys. It was so bad. And it was like, you know, I grew up in the woods. And so they're in the trees and everything. Yeah. And I remember my mom being like, if you're going to go get the mail, you need to take an umbrella. Yeah. Because they would just fall on you. Like from the trees, they would just plop on your head, and it was like and you'd be walking, and it's like crunch, 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 crunch. Yeah, it's gross.
Yeah, my son has stopped taking his shortcut home and takes the long way because it like goes through like all these trees and bushes, and he and this other boy don't want to do that anymore. They don't want to get it pelted.
It's unbelievable.
We had field day at the elementary school, and they've moved it inside. The kids are only allowed to play on the blacktop at all the schools because they don't want them in the grass but under the trees, and it's terrible. And I'm sorry,
ridiculous. And it's only St. Louis, which is what's so weird about it.
It was supposed to be like all these states surrounding us too. Like I saw the map, but I feel like we're the only ones that are actually freaking experiencing.
I've not seen one here. Like I hope I'm not jinxing the us, but like not one noise, nothing, not one thing.
You know, it was funny because I have a graduate now. We had our graduation party last weekend, and we were sitting outside, and they weren't like in my backyard. I just told Beth this before we got on. They kind of waited till the next day to swarm my backyard, but they were in the trees. We knew they were in the trees because I couldn't hear people talking.
Yeah,
in the backyard.
They like sing.
Yeah, normally it's like I'm trying to yell over the music because Emery likes our music loud, and I'm like, lower it. No, it wasn't even. I couldn't even hear the music or people talking. I had to yell over the cicadas. Yelling.
So crazy. So I got my hair done yesterday, and my hairdresser was like, she doesn't know that you're from St. Louis, or like I have a friend, like my best friend lives in St. Louis. She doesn't have any idea. And she was like, did you see on the news about St. Louis how they've been like they've been invaded? by these cicadas or whatever. I'm like, oh my God, yes. Like my best friend lives there. And she's like, oh, I had no idea, whatever. And she goes, I'm telling you, I don't know what that city did, but the Lord has sent down the 7 plagues on them, and they better be ready with the blood of the lamb because another one's coming.
I have literally said to multiple people, is the end of the world, is Jesus coming back? Because we had COVID, we have cicadas, what's happening?
Only you. That's what's so weird. She's like, St. Louis has sinned against the Lord. Like, you are Egypt right now. I'm like,
yeah, God. I can't even take it. Like, you look out, there's a tree right out my front door, and they're just like covering the limbs of the tree. It's gross.
Oh, yeah. I don't want to come there today
No.
because also we're going to CrimeCon.
I know. I'm getting the hell out of here.
My guys. Yeah, you are. We're going to go and we're going to be there, and we would love to see you or meet up with you or whatever. And I think we have decided, and maybe I'm wrong, but we need to talk about it because I got an outfit plan. Mm-hmm. But I think we're going to go downtown one day.
Yes.
So there's this girl who Crystal Steele. So we went to Nashville for my 40th birthday. And no joke, like the very first place that we went, like when we were all arriving into town, we met at this one particular place and like ate and stuff like that. And she was playing at like 5 o'clock, 4 o'clock in the afternoon, or so maybe earlier than that even. And we like stopped what we were doing to watch her because she was so amazing and so talented and entertaining. And we followed her ever since. And she's going to be there when we're there performing at Whiskey Row. And so we're going to go and see her, I think. See our girl.
Yes. Friday night, Whiskey Row. We're coming for you, Crystal Steele.
Heck yeah.
Yeah.
All right, cool. Then that helps me because I know I need to pack my boots. Are you going to pack your boots? We're going downtown. We got to pack the boots.
I don't wear my boots anywhere but Nashville. So even if I don't wear them, I'm just going to wear them at some point, probably just all weekend walking around the hotel.
Really? That shocks me. I was going to say, I don't see that about you happening, but definitely going to wear them downtown because you got to have boots on Broadway.
Yes, for sure.
All right, cool. Super excited.
I know. So keep an eye out on the socials. I know I haven't been very active on my personal social. I just feel like I've been too stressed
me
out.
Either. I actually was going to shout out our personal social a little bit too, because I think not a lot of people know. So we have a Crimes and Closets Instagram and Facebook and all that stuff. And we do post and we will post. But Christy and I both have personal ones, Beth from my closet and Christy from my closet. So come and check those out because I think we'll probably do more on those feeds so that we don't like inundate people who don't give a crap about CrimeCon on the main feed.
Well, I feel like people who are on the main feed would care about CrimeCon.
Well, that's true too. But like they don't care about our experience about CrimeCon. Like we're going to post about like our experience and like, oh my gosh, I love this person. You know, because we love different people. And so like you're going to post people that I'm not going to post and you're going to fangirl over people I'm not going to. And so, so come and find us on those things. And I think it'll be a lot of fun. We'll definitely try to take you along on the journey. Christy's better about it than me. I like never have my phone out.
Well, I was going to say, I tend to be better about it like out places than I am like in my everyday life.
Right.
Like, you know, like sure. I haven't really been posting much in general. So
anyway. Well, I lose my phone, as you know, about 3 times a day. So, but I'll do my best.
Okay. All right. Well, I guess if that's all the business we have, right? Yeah.
It's all my business.
Okay. Well, we've got quite a case for you coming up today, and it's a big-ish case, but also we have an interview after that you will have to stay tuned for that we kind of like alluded to throughout the episode, but wasn't sure if we would actually get it done, and we did. So there is an interview at the end of it. So if you hear us say maybe an interview, nope, there is.
Yeah, please stay tuned for it. It's actually extremely awesome.
Yeah. All right, so let's get to it.
Okay, here we go.
Okay, so we recently got I guess it was kind of a suggestion of a case but it was more like I think they sent it out to a bunch of different podcasts because they wanted their voices heard, and we were on that list and we got it, and
wow, okay,
we took it, and we have actually been in contact with the person who sent it to us, who she is a cousin of the victim in this story.
Okay.
And her name is Raven.
Hi, Raven.
And, yes, hi. And she is going to join us after this.
Cool.
For a little bit of a discussion, I guess, or just kind of let us know what she's hoping that comes out of getting this case out there and known and whatnot. So,
okay. Love that.
Yes.
This is not an April Fool's.
It's not an April Fool's. I can promise you that.
Yeah. Okay.
So we are clearly veered to one side of this. I'm going to just put it out there since we were just chatting about it right before we got on, like this, but it's needed to be that way because this.
And I love that you say we, like you and I for sure, even though I have no idea. Okay.
You have no idea what I'm about to tell you, but you will, if you are not on this side, I might be concerned about you. But we'll see. Clearly there's going to be somebody who doesn't agree with us, and that's, but whatever. It is what it is. Okay. So this is Alexavier Pedrin's case.
Alexavier. That is
such a neat name, right?
It is neat.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
It's like Alexander and Xavier married. Shipped.
Shipped. Yes. Alexavier. And I think his name is Alexavier J. Pedrin. And so sometimes he's like called AJ and things and whatever. But I refuse. I'm like, Alexavier. I want to say that every time.
It rolls. It's so pretty.
It does roll. Mm-hmm. Okay. So Alexavier was born on July 10th, 2016 in La Crosse, Wisconsin. To Jenna Anderson and Derek Pedrin.
Okay.
So La Crosse, just for reference, is about 2.5 hours southwest of where I used to live in Wausau.
Okay.
When I lived in Wisconsin for the very short period.
I was to say, I forgot about that.
I know, it's like a blip on the radar. It's on the western side of the state, closer to the Mississippi River. So like if you cross over the Mississippi right there, you'd be in Minnesota.
Okay.
Jenna Anderson was born on December 20th. This is mom, 1989. Typical child. She may have gotten into some trouble in high school, but nothing that was like super over the top, like took someone's car without permission to go out because she wanted to kind of thing, nothing over the top compared to what we have heard on some of these things, I probably did.
We're setting the bar low for her for some reason. Okay.
No, I'm just saying like that as a think about it. Think about the time and the things that kids did at the time too. But anyway,
we should do a Patreon episode on all the crazy things we did as teenagers.
I don't want to. Well, actually, okay, no, Patreon's
not
good
criminal.
Because no, but and I think actually my parents probably know most of everything I've done now. But anyway, it doesn't matter. Doesn't matter. Okay. Derek Pedrin was born March 15th, 1990. It is noted that Derek did not have the best childhood. He was beaten and proclaimed to be on his own at the age of 13, which can you even imagine that, honestly, because that's how old our children are.
No, they would die. They would definitely die.
Yeah, they couldn't do it. They could not do it. Okay, so the two of them, Jenna and Derek, met in middle school and became a couple at some point later on in life. Jenna had her first child on September 25th, 2008, which would be Alexavier's older sister.
Okay.
So I am not going to name anybody else's, like any of the other children's names in this, just for, it was asked for privacy reasons to just kind of keep it to Alexavier's name. You can find their names. It's easy to find them, but, okay. So it seems that Derek and Jenna didn't really have the strongest relationship, like kind of on again, kind of.
So older sister is not Derek's.
I believe she is. No, she is.
Oh, okay. Okay. Understood.
Yes, she is Derek's, but they just don't have a strong relationship.
Okay.
They are on again, off again. Jenna wrote a couple times on Facebook post complaining about Derek watching his girlfriend's daughter and not finding time for his own child. Stuff like that when they were in the off again.
Mm-hmm.
Later years, she would post about how she was enjoying watching Derek change and how he's maturing and taking care of his children finally and blah, 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 blah. So it's like, depends on the time, I guess, of how you're feeling, which is the case for most of us.
Okay.
Derek does get arrested quite a bit over the years. At times it's for like drugs. Sometimes there are more serious charges, one of which was domestic abuse charge, where he was ordered to stay away from Jenna and not to drink or be in bars or taverns at all.
Okay.
He violates probation a lot when it comes to the drinking. Jenna does at some point request them to have a no contact order, but then she also requests them to like lift that. You know how people who are in some, abusive relationships, they press the charges and then they're like, no, we can't do that. No, we can do that. No, it's just like
excuses for, it's absolutely, it's out of their control sometimes.
It's a cycle.
Yes,
they get in it and they can't get out.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So she then gets pregnant with their second child. So Derek and Jenna's second child in 2011. However, Jenna has a miscarriage at 12 weeks.
Oh.
He was stuck in her fallopian tube. One of those pregnancies. In November of 2015, Jenna finds out she's pregnant with Alexavier. She's very excited about it and super relieved when she finds out that he has a heartbeat and hears it and he's healthy and strong. And it's also a little bit unclear if Derek and her are together at this point for me.
Okay.
Because of the on again, off again status.
Mm-hmm.
But this is also where another person enters the story, and her name is Josie Dykeman. Josie is a few years younger than Jenna and Derek, but I did read and did confirm actually with Raven that Josie and Jenna had met in high school and were kind of like friends.
Okay.
Somewhat.
Maybe small town stuff.
Yeah, probably. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
At some point, Derek and Josie become involved.
I love the name Josie. I feel like I'm not going to like her, but I like that name.
Josie and the Pussycats, is that why?
Yes. Maybe. I don't know. I like it.
I don't know. I kind of like it, but again, this is not a story where I'm going to like it. So,
okay.
Yeah, you won't like her. So Josie has 5 children of her own with a few different men.
Okay.
The youngest 2 were Derek's. So Derek's got 2 with Jenna and 2 with Josie.
At the same time?
Well, so that's what I found out actually right last minute, that Josie was pregnant with her first child at the same time Jenna was pregnant with Alexavier. So they're only like a couple months apart.
Fun.
Yeah,
Fun
which
for
is why
them.
I'm saying I don't know if they're together because it may Jenna's pregnant, but then he gets Josie pregnant, and so anyway,
we don't know what she knew, but either way, that is not healthy.
Right. So they kind of become this blended family at times.
Okay, that's cool.
So Alexavier and his sister, his older sister, who were Derek's, would go and stay with Josie and Derek. Split time between Jenna and Derek. So anyway, it's very confusing. There's so many different children involved.
Okay.
Like I mentioned, we're fortunate to have communication with Raven, Raven is Jenna's sister's daughter. So it's Jenna's niece. Okay. So Alexavier's cousin.
Okay. That's pretty close.
Yes. She sent me extensive notes, timeline, pages and pages and pages and pages. I mean, you saw it when it came through on email.
Yeah.
It took me a while to get through it, but it's very helpful information.
Thank you, Raven.
Okay. Yes. Thank you so much.
Wow. So, also, thank you for trusting us with us, by the way. Can I just say that? That always blows my mind and is so humbling.
Well, yes, 100% when somebody is close to a case and trusts us, but this is super close to the case, someone trying to get it out in the family. Also sending me things that, I mean, I'm sure the public doesn't know. They could probably figure out, but they're not going to dive that deep into it. And then also, side note, I sent her my notes. This is the first time I've sent somebody my narrative that I've written and said, hey, what do you think? Because I was we're super involved with this, or she's super involved, and I don't want to misstep on something that I didn't realize I was misstepping over.
I think that's the
whatever.
right thing to do.
Yeah. So that was nerve-wracking in itself. But
yeah,
she's been super nice about it, adding things for me, blah, blah, blah. So I'm super appreciative of her.
Yeah.
Okay. So part of the timeline that she sent was notating all of the doctor's appointments that Jenna brought Alexavier to.
Okay.
most of which seem like typical kid things, lots of ear infections, pink eye, colds. Some kids are just like, get that kind of stuff all the time. Those ear infections are like nonstop half the time. There were some things that would be mentioned that would make me think things were happening during the visits with Derek and Josie, because it would be an appointment that he would come, like he'd come back from their visit and he would have an appointment because he had stomach aches, diarrhea, vomiting, sometimes injuries that needed x-rays. And so it just makes you think, like, why is this happening like every time he comes back, and what's going on there? So I do think it's important.
X-rays specifically, like an upset stomach I kind of get. Transitions are hard for kids. Sometimes, anxiety of it can manifest in that way.
True.
But all of it combined?
Yeah, it's a lot. And it's like too often from what I see.
Yeah.
So I also think it's important to mention here that Josie has a past when it comes to child abuse and neglect. So knowing
why does she
that,
have children in her house?
Well, that's the biggest question of the day. In 2011, she was accused and charged with the neglect of her boyfriend's child when she suffered a skull fracture and brain injury at the age of 1 while in Josie's care.
Not minor.
No, that's not a minor thing. Those charges would be dropped. Not entirely sure why they were dropped, but they were. But then in 2013, we have a repeat where she was charged with criminally neglecting the same little girl, who's now 3. A doctor called it in because he said she was malnourished and had evidence of old fractures in her hands and feet. Josie pled guilty to this and was given 3 years probation.
Probation?
I
mean, if you assume that she did it in 2013, you can assume that that was her in 2011 as well.
But those charges were dropped, so.
Yeah, but now we can go back and recharge because now we have... Okay.
You'd think. Okay, so at this time, Josie was in a relationship with a man named Dustin, who was the father of the little girl. And it's also believed and stated that Dustin kind of like let Josie consume him, and like he neglected his own child because he was like so infatuated with Josie that he just kind of like neglected his own child. Not the smartest tool in the shed, I don't think.
No, but also probably something that she did on purpose.
Right. Yes. Okay, so Dustin was once arrested with Derek. Going back to Derek, because they're also know each other, for stealing/breaking into cars. Okay. So they get into trouble together. He also has a drug addiction and was complicit, like I said, in the abuse of his daughter, because he said, like we said, he kind of allowed it to happen, and that's what the judge believed. He got 3 years in prison for that, with 3 years of extended supervision, but would serve it after the 8 years he was in prison for another charge.
Wait a minute. So he got 3 years in prison for being complicit in the child abuse. But homegirl who was doing the child abuse got probation.
Yeah, doesn't make any sense, does it? Nope, doesn't to me either. Okay, so his daughter had been in foster care, and he regained custody after she was with them for 6 months. She started. This is what what the doctor noticed after the fact. She had started to lose weight, lose her hair. They would lock her in her room for hours at a time for time out. She would have to stand in the corner for upwards of like 90 minutes when she would get in trouble, like as a timeout too. Josie limited her to 3 drinks a day to avoid her having accidents. And when she went to the bathroom, she had to hold her hands up above her head so she couldn't play in the water in the toilet, which she only did because she was so thirsty because they weren't giving her drinks.
Wow.
So these are the kinds of things that they were doing to her that got them charged.
That's sad. That is very that sad. Poor baby.
Very sad. Very sad. So in March of 2019, Derek and Josie get into a fight. Derek strangles her and bashes her head on the ground. Josie suffers a traumatic brain injury because of this. Derek is ordered to stay away, but again, That is not something that is followed through with after a little bit.
What's Wisconsin?
Mm-hmm. What's Wisconsin? I should have looked up like what in the heck happened. Like, are there just like the weird, strange laws in Wisconsin that are causing this? But really, it's more like the people involved in it. Like, there's an order to stay away, which is followed through with for a short time, but then it's like Josie brings him back in, and so.
Yeah, she clearly is got some power over, or she's extremely manipulative and gaslights and like, obviously.
Right. So I don't know that it's necessarily like, there are some issues that need to be addressed, which is what Raven will probably discuss when she comes on with us, law-wise and whatever. But some of it is just like, okay, there's this, stay away order. Okay, well, let's do it. Oh, well, Josie's like, no, take that away. I don't need that anymore. Or they just violate it, and nobody knows they're violating it because who's checking up unless somebody's calling saying, he shouldn't be here. Why is he here?
There's people whose whole jobs are to check up on this stuff.
Yeah, I know.
I'm so scared about what's going to happen right now. I'm just going to say that.
Mm-hmm. Okay, so CPS does get called out to the home many times over this, because clearly this happens, domestic violence happens in the house. They know there's kids, they're going to get them involved. But they're also called specifically numerous times from family members on Alexavier's side.
Mm-hmm.
The family also moves a lot, and they're like, so like they're constantly moving homes or, kind of like close in vicinity, but enough that it's like, well, they don't have enough stability. And so many children involved in this.
Okay, can I ask a question really quick? Mm-hmm. So I know Mom Jenna.
Mm-hmm.
What is the custody situation? Like, how often is Alexavier at Derek and Josie's? Is it like a 50-50 type thing every other weekend? Like,
I'm going to say it's probably closer to 50-50. It might not be like exactly, but literally in the timeline, it'll be like Alexavier was at Derek's. Jenna picks him up. So like I could go back and like literally day to day for over the whole 6 years, like
so
figure
it's
that
a significant amount though. It's not just like amount. Every other weekend. Mm-mm. Or once a month. It's not something like that. It's like on a regular basis, he is at Dad's.
Yeah.
And people are calling on him this entire time. Okay, got it.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Well, now wait, here's another thing that happened. In the later part of 2019, Jenna buys a house in Joplin, Missouri.
Okay.
So now we're coming into Joplin, Missouri. However, she invited Derek and Josie to move in with her, because she did not want to leave her children behind, and because of like the custody agreement, she was like, well, you come with me, live with me while you find jobs and find a place.
Yes, and then that way she can supervise. That's the safest situation for the baby possible.
You would think.
Yeah.
You would think. Good transition period, blah, blah, blah. That it totally takes blended family to the next level, though.
I know. Oh my gosh. It is amazing to me, though, whenever families are, listen, Jenna must be a saint because it's so difficult to do that. I have a friend who does that. It's hard. It's a hard pill to swallow, but it's so good for the kids.
Yeah. Well, it should be the healthiest.
Non-abusive situations.
Right. It should be the healthiest. We have a couple of friends too. Same thing. They co-parent extremely well and handle it very well because of the kids.
Mm-hmm.
So, well, things in this situation don't go well for very long. Josie, I want to say like maybe weeks, if that. Josie confronted and accused Jenna of drug use, and they got into an altercation. Josie and Derek both attack Jenna.
Oh my gosh.
Jenna also accuses Josie of cheating on Derek. So like this argument's going back and forth. Well, yeah, Derek, I'm pretty sure that Josie's cheating on you, like whatever. So this argument's just getting intense between all of them.
Mm-hmm.
Derek supposedly goes to the garage to get a bat. But in the end, Jenna ends up using the bat and hits Josie in the head with this baseball bat.
To defend herself, I'm sure.
Most likely, yes.
Mm-hmm.
It is made to sound like she like attacked her with this, but like she was not the person that went to go find this bat. Like it was there out of like opportunity at that point because somebody else had gone to get it.
And she probably grabbed it away from them. She's not a violent person. We have no history of this.
I can't say that she is. So according to information gotten from Raven, the medical records indicated that there was no significant injuries found with Josie, even though Josie claimed that Jenna caused her TBI. But she had already had the traumatic brain injury from when Derek hit her.
Right.
And we can only assume that Derek intended to hit her with it again since he already strangled her and bashed her head onto the ground already. Like,
wow, this is terribly toxic.
Extremely, extremely. Jenna gets arrested and is bailed out the next day by Josie using Jenna's like card to bail her out. CPS gets involved because the children again were there during this. An investigation ended because Josie had agreed to go to the DA and to get charges dropped against Jenna, according to text messages between the two. Again, they have that information because they've gone through all the text messages, and that's what was stated was going to happen on both sides, which she never did. She didn't go to the DA and drop the charges.
Okay.
Josie and Derek end up leaving and taking the kids back to Wisconsin.
All of them?
Yeah.
Oh, no.
So because Jenna's got this now arrest on her, so she can't leave the state.
Oh,
charges weren't dropped.
My gosh, that is opportunistic, isn't it?
Mm-hmm. Alexavier is brought to the doctor a few times once they leave and they go back to Wisconsin by Josie for several things, one of which is a concern about unusual sexual behavior, such as seeing him laying on top of another child naked. And when he's asked what he's doing, he's like, I don't know. I mean, he's very little. Like,
how little?
Well, let's see. He was born in 16, so this is around 19. So
he's 3
to 4.
Okay, you don't just come up with that. I'm sorry.
No, you don't just come up with that. So you're seeing it, but my guess is like it's still an innocent thing for him at that age.
For sure,
like,
he's 3.
Seeing stuff, so I'm going to do stuff. And why am I getting in trouble for doing this? Anyway, but she brings him to the doctor to like question all this. She's making a claim, Josie, that there's sexual abuse at the hands of Jenna. She was concerned that Jenna had many boyfriends come and go, and she didn't know what Alexavier was being exposed to, blah, 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 blah. So CPS never contacts Jenna about any of these allegations, and Josie never follows through with them.
So this is Wisconsin CPS.
Wisconsin, yeah,
okay.
And she's in Missouri.
Okay.
Things are just getting even worse and more tense between these parents.
Mm-hmm.
Josie did not press the charges against Jenna until they moved back to Wisconsin. So like
for the assault, that thing? Okay.
Yes. So she was arrested because this happened, and she was like, I mean, the police came for this, just arrested to it. They moved back to Wisconsin. Josie then decides, okay, I'm going to press charges, even though apparently they had discussion of like, don't press charges. But anyway, so she presses charges.
Okay. Well,
Jenna's going to be charged with first-degree assault and armed criminal action. Initially, she was being charged with second-degree assault, but Josie wanted her to be charged with attempted murder. So the DA compromised and upped it to first-degree assault.
Which is, what is that? Is that like premeditated assault?
I don't really know, actually. I mean,
that's first-degree murder. That's the difference.
Yeah,
is the premeditation.
Yeah, I'd imagine.
She didn't get the bat.
Right, but they don't know. It's all like back and forth. He said, she said. They're the only ones there. The kids were there.
She doesn't have a history of violence, and they do, though.
I know. I'm not like, I'm just saying.
Like arguing with you, kind of.
I know, you are arguing with me, and I'm on the right side of this. Well, I'm on what I think is the right.
No, I'm just getting very upset. Okay.
But,
the facts are upsetting.
Right. Yeah. Okay. So Jenna is arraigned in February of 2020. And it seems to me, based on the timeline that I have, that Jenna was going back and forth between Wisconsin and Missouri, because there are instances like that I read that, she took her to the doctor, or Alexavier to the doctor, or she did this, and it would be like she would have to be in Wisconsin for that.
Mm-hmm.
She was on bond from Missouri, so I don't know if she was allowed to be doing that, or, because I'm sure
like crossing state lines and such.
Right.
Yeah.
I'm sure maybe she was taking a chance, possibly.
Yeah, to see her baby and make sure he's okay.
And Alexavier at this point is like splitting time between Jenna's side of the family because they live in Wisconsin and Derek and Josie.
Okay. And sorry, just side note, where's older sister?
Going back and forth with Alexavier.
Oh, okay. Oh,
so
okay.
she's like, she's in the same custody thing. Like,
okay,
so
understood.
She's with him at this point. There is a time it'll change, but she is a part of that.
Okay.
Josie would ask for a protective order against Jenna, and it was granted. So Jenna's now no longer able to take her children to school if she happens to be in Wisconsin, or pick them up or be present when they're being transferred from Derek's care to her maternal, like her side of the family's care. She's also dealing with all the legal issues back in Missouri, blah, blah, blah. And like her side of the family is just dealing with Alexavier and trying to keep him safe. So Jenna is trying to keep, Josie's trying to keep Jenna away and saying like, you can't, like, she doesn't even want their family close to her, like coming near her to pick the kids up, because she's like, well, Jenna's trying to kill me and that's her family. So they shouldn't even be allowed to be near me. Anyways. Yeah. Josie's very, very manipulative.
This reminds me of that case. Oh my gosh. We covered it. You covered it. It's Grant. Is it Grant Solomon?
Oh,
where they like blackball the mom into looking like a terrible person.
Oh, maybe. Is it one of the baseball player who was run over by the car?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And they like blackball the mom to make her look like she's like the worst ever. When in all honesty, all she was trying to do was like fight for the safety of her children.
Yeah. Yeah. And to me, that's what it seems like here as well. So, yeah. Okay, so calls start coming into CPS about Alexavier and his siblings. I want to say that name, but I can't say it right every time. Like Alexavier. Okay, so they're concerned about their well-being and also concerns because they've not been able to see them and have no contact, because they'll just like shut them out and not answer calls or not show up for like the transfer, whatever. When they do eventually see them, Alexavier says he doesn't want to go with Dad and would try and make up as many excuses as he could to not go. According to the family, at one point he even dug his nails into like one of his aunt's arms until she bled, like begging her to let him stay.
And he's a baby. Like, let's talk about that for a minute. Like, he is a 4-year-old baby. Like, 4 is little.
Yeah.
We are only barely able to effectively communicate at 3 and 4 years old. Like,
yeah. And his sister is only like 5 years older than him. So she's like 9-ish, 10-ish.
Yeah.
And she's effectively saying the same things. Like, she doesn't want to go. She doesn't want to go with Dad or Josie and blah, blah, blah. So, it's coming from 2 kids. Okay. So there are other times. So there would be these issues where they wouldn't contact them back, wouldn't let them see them. But then there would be times where Derek would call Jenna's mom for help because Josie would go and like be going off on him, punching and kicking him. And so then he would want help from Jenna's side of the family. And so
and he would call her side of the family and be like, Josie's physically abusing me. Can you help? The kids are safe. It's great. We're so happy. Family.
Well, yeah.
Hashtag.
Yeah.
What?
Yeah. Okay, so it is clear that these children are not safe and don't want to be there. It's even stated somewhere in that timeline that Alexavier's older sister starts cutting herself because things are so bad.
Oh, no.
Derek gets arrested multiple times, and then the kids are basically with Josie on her own. And they've expressed being scared to go there and only being with Josie when Derek is not there because he's been arrested or whatever. CPS is called so many times about this family, it amazes me. Like I cannot list all of the times that they were called in this like episode. Like there's so much that it would take several episodes to like list everything. So just know that there's a lot in this.
And who is calling CPS? Like, is it coming from everywhere? Like teachers, doctors, family?
It's basically family.
Okay.
Concerned. Yeah, it's basically family. Family of Jenna's.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. big sister does eventually live with Jenna's mom full-time for a period of time. So she's just not going back and forth. And I guess Derek's just allowing it to happen or whatever, but she's not going back and forth. But Alexavier continues to go back and forth between the two.
Okay.
In September of 2020, Jenna took a plea deal back in Missouri and pled guilty. Family members say it's because her attorney kind of pushed her in that direction because they said they weren't going to win this case. There was no way to win it. So you should just plead guilty to this and take this, sentence that they're going to give you.
Which I find amazing. She was defending her. Anyway.
I know. A couple months later, she's sentenced to 5 years in jail in Missouri.
Oh, no. Okay. Mm-hmm. Oh, no.
So at one of his well visits, Alexavier is diagnosed with speech and language disorder. He's referred to a behavioral health place. He goes to several appointments where he's referred to like speech and language, occupational therapy kinds of things. Mm-hmm. But he's a no-show for all follow-up appointments. There's always either like just a no-show or a call that they're not coming. They have to cancel. Most of the time it's just like, didn't show up. No call, no nothing. And Derek would not sign papers because clearly he's not with him full time, but he would not sign papers allowing Cheryl, which is Jenna's mom, to take Alexavier to these appointments. So she couldn't take them because she wasn't allowed to.
Paperwork for that?
Well, she's not a guardian, like a legal guardian. She's not the parent. She's not the legal guardian. So if you're going to have somebody else to take it, you have to like give them permission to take them. Throughout the first half of 2021, Alexavier splits his time between Jenna's side of the family and Derek's. Mm-hmm. He's even taken for visits to see Jenna in Missouri.
Okay.
Alexavier
family, I'm assuming.
Yes. Mm-hmm. Alexavier at times will share things with the family, like Josie hits him in the face, makes him drink his own spit when he's thirsty. Just
yikes.
Deplorable things. Towards the end of 2021, communication with Derek is getting just tense and almost non-existent. He's constantly like trying to either cut them off or trying to get stimulus checks from Jenna's mom. Because he's like, you're getting the stimulus checks for the kids and you need to give them to me because I'm the parent kind of thing. Because this is COVID.
Wait, so why is she getting the stimulus checks?
I don't know if that's because because Jenna never lost custody of the kids.
Oh, so Jen is getting them. Understood. Okay, got it.
So I don't know if it's just coming because it's like, well, that's the address that is given for residency purposes or whatever. That's what I'm assuming.
Okay, that makes sense, actually. That confused me. I got it. I'm here now.
Okay, yeah. And that's just me, my assumption of the situation. However, mom's like, I'm not getting it. I'm getting him for the older sister because she's technically here, but I've not gotten anything for Alexavier. It should all be going to you. So she's like, I don't have the stimulus checks, so he doesn't know where they're going. It's assumed, I think, that Josie's taking it, but I don't know that either. That's an assumption on probably my part. He's mad about it. Clearly, he has issues. He takes drugs. He drinks. He's trying to get money in any way he can. Okay. So then he's like starting to cut contact off. Like, fine. Like, I'm not going to answer your calls. You're not going to see Alexavier, blah, blah, blah. So Alexavier's able to have a few visits with them. And he also attends a wedding that he is the ring bearer in for one of Jenna's family members. But it is stated that he was only allowed to stay for like 25 minutes. And Josie and the other kids were in the car waiting. And they were like, we need to leave now because we have to attend the dog's birthday party, even though they didn't actually have a dog. But this was their excuse that he needed to leave a wedding for. Like, seriously. Like, come on. No.
Okay.
Anyway.
We're not even
it's really strange.
We're not even trying now to come up with excuses. This is gross.
Yeah. And Alexavier didn't want to leave. He was trying to come up with excuses to stay. So around October of 2021, Alexavier's attendance at school starts to slip. So now he's of age where he's in kindergarten. No real explanation. Sometimes he would be sick. Other times, no excuse would be given. According to some records, he missed 61 days of kindergarten, which is quite a bit.
Oh.
And 40 days of first grade. However, this is somewhat of a spoiler alert. He's actually only in school in first grade for 5 months. So 40 days missing is quite a lot.
It's over a month. That's well over a month.
It would be a lot for an entire school year, but considering he was only in school for 5 months.
He was in first grade.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, no.
Again, calls are still coming into CPS with concern. One is because his older sister is concerned that she has not seen him in 7 months. And
Seven months.
Jenna's family members are constantly trying to contact Derek to inquire about Xavier, and they want to see him. Derek just doesn't respond. So on January 16th, 2023, Alexavier is brought to the hospital by ambulance. His sister apparently had pushed him down the stairs at home, but no one could really corroborate this.
Mm-hmm.
Josie stated in another report that he had fallen on ice the day before at school, and that's where he got hurt. However, the day before that was Sunday.
Mm-hmm.
So he was not in school when he got injured.
Injured how?
Alexavier's femur was fractured.
Okay. That's a big fracture.
It is.
It's like hard to fracture your femur.
Well, yeah. Yeah, because it's a big bone, isn't it?
Mm-hmm.
I mean,
yes,
like a thick.
It's a really big bone, yeah.
Yeah. Orthopedists requested he be sent to another hospital for sedation and reductions, like to treat this, to get him into a cast and everything, because you have to reduce the swelling and all that kind of stuff before you put the cast on. CPS is also notified again.
Wow, interesting. Okay.
Because now the doctors are concerned that there's possible child abuse.
Mm-hmm.
They noted the fracture, but they also saw like 2 more small abrasions near his right eye, bruising on his left arm, petechia on his bottom, which is what like the little red dots from like blood kind of pooling, you know that.
Yeah.
Sometimes you get it when you're strangled.
Like yeah, but what would cause it on your booty?
I don't know, but that's just something that they noted.
Oh,
it said it was consistent with rug burn. So maybe being dragged across the floor. When social workers questioned him, he would kind of like look over to Josie for the answers.
Oh, no. And he's what? So first grade, so 5, 6?
Yeah. He was born in 2016 and it's 2023. So he's 7. Oh, will be 7. He's 6.
6. Okay.
Yeah. So CPS followed up. The doctor had taken pictures of many of the old injuries that he noticed because the femur fracture was actually consistent with a fall, he said.
Okay.
So, like, even though it's probably related to the child abuse, he's like, I can't prove it because that's consistent with what they're saying. But
pushing someone down the stairs is child abuse as well.
Well, it is, but they said the sister did it.
Of course.
So, like, where they just like horsing around and pushed him and he fell down the stairs. So, anyway, the doctor did the right thing, took pictures of all the other stuff so he could be like, this is why I'm concerned. But
yeah,
probably was also like, this is concerning, but it's consistent. So Derek and Josie, like CPS, when they follow up, they're like, he's doing well. He's walking around with his crutches fine, blah, blah, blah. They took notes. CPS took notes about the other children in the house. And they're like, they seem okay. They even talked to them. And the kids like kind of gave different like things that would happen. You know, like, oh, I get yelled at a lot, or, you know, like they told them stuff, but it was nothing that was like super, super alarming, I guess, according to them. CPS contacted the principal of Alexavier's school, and she stated that she had no like concerns at all, but except for the concern about his attendance, like he doesn't attend enough. Alexavier then attended school over the next week, but then his absences started to drop again. Derek then gets arrested on February 6th because Josie turns him in. She was like, he's drinking, he's in violation of probation, I want a no contact order in place. So she gets him arrested.
Interesting.
February 6th. Once family members learn that he had been arrested, they call for a welfare check on Alexavier on February 10th because they're like, wait a minute, we don't want him
all by herself with the children.
Josie. Jenna had called Raven. I guess, I don't know how Jenna found out about this, but she had called Raven. Oh,
Raven, our listener who sent this
our
in.
listener. Yes.
Okay.
And so mom called Raven. She had this like bad feeling and she was concerned. So she was like, Raven, you call CPS. So that's who called for the welfare check, was Raven.
Wow.
Multiple family members were concerned for his well-being because they had been alienated and they knew Alexavier was like being left in Josie's care all by himself. I mean, there was other kids, but just being that Josie was the only adult in the house. A police officer responds. Okay,
it's the most blatant thing I've ever seen. Like,
it's insane.
Yeah.
That's why I said to you, you're like, which side am I going to be on? You're going to know which side you need to be on in this case. Like, this is ridiculous. So police officer responds to the home. Josie lets him in. The officer took note of Alexavier sleeping on a makeshift bed in the living room. He was completely covered by a blanket and his eyes were closed. He did note a small cut above his eye that was healing. Josie said he got it when he had hit his head on his desk at school.
She said been to school.
Thank you. Well, he was that week before, remember? Because they complained. Wow. So then they sent him for a week and then he started. Anyway. So she was like, we're all getting over COVID. And I just gave him melatonin as per the instructions from the doctor. Even though all the other children in the house, or I shouldn't say all the other children, at least one other child that was, I think, younger than Alexavier was awake and like running around in the house. So like, why was Alexavier the only one that was like given melatonin to like go to bed and was sleeping? But anyway.
I am so upset right now at what you're going to tell me.
The officer learns that Derek is in the home. So he had been arrested, no contact order, but had been let out and he was not supposed to go near them. But he was in the home at the time the officer came. So at some point he learns that he's in this house. Mm-hmm. So later on that night, he would be arrested for violating that no contact order. But before the officer leaves, he's like, can I take one more look at Alexavier? Mm-hmm. So at that point, he had kind of moved in the bed and the blanket was no longer covering him. It was noted that he was in a diaper and had a bruise on his thigh. And it was believed that the officer did have a concern and talked to a supervisor about if he should remove him from the home. And he was told no. Okay. Those were in the notes.
He's been in a diaper. He's in first grade.
Well, he was because all of this is happening. He's being abused. It's a typical thing that happens. Like you revert. So he did. He was reverting back. And so I think at night he wore it.
Okay.
Because he was still having accidents.
But this was during the day. Abused.
No, this was in the evening.
Okay.
Yeah. No, he was in the evening.
Okay.
So at 9:26 the next day, February 11th, 2023, Josie calls 911 to say her son was non-responsive and she found him on the ground near an empty pill bottle. When the sheriff arrived and entered the home, they found Alexavier on a bed in the dining room, laying on his back with his pajamas on and his pull-up on, or diaper, whatever. They tried to get him to respond, and he began foaming at the mouth. They administered Narcan because he had this empty pill bottle, so they just assumed that maybe there's some sort of overdose, and moved him to the floor to perform CPR. When they picked him up, he was stiff, as if rigor had already started to set in.
Oh my gosh.
They performed CPR and a black substance came out of his mouth. 17 minutes later, they pronounced him dead at the scene. It was immediately labeled a suspicious death and they launched an investigation. Josie stated that the two of them had been up till very late, like 2 or 3 in the morning, which is kind of interesting since he was asleep on the melatonin.
Mm-hmm.
The night before. Came the night before. So he woke up and then they were up till 2 or 3 in the morning. Anyway, Alexavier kept trying to sneak out of the room to get ice cream and Red Bull. Very specific things. So she put a baby gate up so that he couldn't get up. She said that she fell asleep and when she woke up and found him unresponsive, she called her mother and she had told her, call 911. So police checked the phone logs and she did. She had called her mom at 9:21. The call lasted less than a minute and then she called 911 at 9:25. So she did not call 911 for like just over 3 minutes. Mm-hmm. The empty bottle on the floor near him was for prednisone, but there was also a baggie with a variety of different medications in it, and Josie was not sure what was in that baggie.
Okay.
Yeah. I mean, clearly not anything that any of us would ever just leave lying around.
That's what I was going to say. Where'd the kid get the medicine? But okay.
An autopsy would reveal that he had blunt force injuries to the head and neck and multiple bruises on his face. Bruises on his trunk, chest, back, arms, and legs. A toxology report would find he had alprazolam in his system, which is Xanax.
Wow.
It would note that the manner of death was homicide caused by blunt force trauma, and the toxic levels of the alprazolam contributed to the cause of death.
Yeah, because it made him lethargic and he couldn't fight back. Is that what it?
I guess so. Yeah.
Wow. Ew.
On March
This
13th.
poor baby.
Yes. Yes.
Sweet
Alexavier's body was cremated,
boy.
and Missouri would not give Jenna compassionate release to attend.
You're kidding.
And the reason that Raven gave me was because that nobody had been arrested for the death at the time, and it was still just listed as suspicious, not a homicide. Although I don't know why you wouldn't get compassionate release.
Was it
just
her fault?
Well, and just to be at your child's
Your baby.
burial, cremation, whatever it is. Like, no, she couldn't be there. I don't know if it was because of the charges and, like she was given 5 years and she'd have to go to a different state. I don't know.
The charges by her child's murderer. Yeah. By the way.
Yeah. Yeah. She was released 15 days later.
Oh, well.
Got paroled and was released.
Still, too little, too late.
I know. Jenna started requesting records from any calls to law enforcement, that happened concerning Alexavier since his birth. She had also been requesting records from the school about his attendance before his death, and they kept denying this to her because she was not listed as a parent of a child in that school because Derek and Josie had registered him, didn't put her on that list. So they kept giving her the runaround, and she kept saying, I never lost custody. I am his mom. Here's a birth certificate. Here's custody orders, all the things. I never lost custody, blah, blah, blah. So she produced court documents stating her legal custody. Like I said, they still kept giving her the runaround because she was in Missouri at the time in prison. And so when they finally said, okay, fine, we'll give you the records now that you've proved it. But you have to come and get them. We won't mail them. She's like, well, I can't come and get them. So I'm going to send my cousin or my mom or whatever. And they were like, no, we can't do that. They're not registered or on the registration thing. So anyway, she's filed grievances against CPS because of how the situation was handled. She isn't getting given any of these records. They finally have gotten some, I'm assuming, because now in that timeline, they were he was absent on this date, no answer.
Yeah.
This excuse given, whatever. It was so detailed, this timeline. On May 19th, 2023, Josie was arrested and charged with Alexavier's death, chronic abuse of a child causing child's death, and physical abuse of a child causing bodily harm.
Mm-hmm.
News articles have stated that she will likely not go to trial until 2025 because of the already packed schedule of the courts in 2024, although Raven said that there is some sort of court date that is going to happen in 2024, but I don't know if it'll just be a pretrial thing or something, but
right.
I don't know what it is, but what the articles are saying out there is that it won't happen until 2025. So
okay,
not completely solved, but solved. We don't have
what about his dad?
Dad wasn't there. He was
in
that
jail,
night,
right?
For violating the order. So he wasn't there that he was asleep. Alexavier was asleep, breathing, and fine.
He'd already been abused, and
I know. But all I can think of, because I had the same exact questions, and I was like, "Why is it?" Maybe we can ask Raven too when we talk to her. But why wasn't anything happening to him?
He should be charged, even if he's in prison. He should still be charged.
Yeah. My only thing is that. Yeah, he wasn't there that night.
But he was he was already asleep, unconscious, essentially, when police officer was there, in my opinion. And he died hours later. So they're saying it happened after they left, potentially, and after that. Oh, okay.
Yeah.
What does she say? What does Josie say? That does she have any defense for herself?
I haven't read anything.
She's just he OD'd. I don't know where the bruises came from. I don't know where the blunt force trauma came from. Probably, right?
Probably, yeah. Yeah, basically. I know that we're very one-sided because we have just the family's, Alexavier's family side, but I read as many articles that were out there on this, and I haven't read anything about what Josie, either she's not talking or it's just no. Nothing.
Where are all the other kids?
They're sisters with Jenna's family.
Right.
And then, I don't know where
Josie had what'd you say, 5
Yeah.
kids?
I want to say they went to foster care, or maybe they're with her family. I honestly don't know. Yeah, 2 of them were with Derek, but I would imagine that, I don't know, like, I can't imagine he would get custody of them, but had
he's
custody of
he's in
everybody
jail
else.
though, right?
Well, I don't know if he still is in jail. He got out.
You
and
don't
went
know? You didn't look
No, I
him
don't.
up?
I'm pretty sure he got out because he went to jail because he violated the no contact orders. I'm assuming the next day he got out. He was at the cremation. Like, he was able to attend everything.
Can't believe you did not look him up.
Sorry.
You gotta look up all these people. I'm looking them up later. That is horrific. This story, this case, these people's lives, this baby, sad. It's really sad. I don't like it.
Yes.
What a system fail. I can't. Somebody call Wisconsin.
Yeah, well, that's what Raven, I think, is going to talk to us about, because she's trying to, like, there's like, what she wrote me last night was that they know things need to change, but they're not exactly sure, like, what exact laws are that need to be changed, like, that caused this to go sideways.
And are there victim advocates, like state appointed victim advocates, that could help them with that?
I would imagine.
Yeah, I would. Yeah, there are. I mean, here we have them here in North Carolina, but like, they can help you advocate for like legislation and bills and things like that can like benefit, like further the system to prevent things like this from happening in the future.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. I'm sure there are. I would imagine we can ask her. We're going to talk to her.
Listen, and if you're listening and you are a victim advocate, reach out to us because we need your help.
Right. Yes. Yes. This definitely needs to be out there, and they definitely need help if they don't have it already to figure out what went wrong with this and what needs to be changed. And
that sweet baby.
I know. They're all victims in this. There's a lot of victims in this, but he lost the most.
Yeah. Yeah, and his mom lost. Oh my gosh. I hate it.
Yeah.
I hate kid cases.
I know. I know you do.
Especially ones that are preventable, and this was preventable. This wasn't just some one-off crazy person. This was systematic abuse that was ignored over and over and over again. And it's heartbreaking, and I hope she gets what's hers.
I do too.
Josie.
I need to throw the book at her.
Well, bless your heart, Raven, for sending this in. Thank you so much for trusting us with this. And we sure hope that whatever it looks like in the future, your family finds healing. You're always going to have a piece of you missing, but like, there is healing in trauma. And we hope by telling his story that helps a little bit, and that, resources come to you and we support you.
Right.
We love you. We love Jenna, all the family. You guys, thank you for fighting. You guys did your best.
Yeah. Yeah, they did. They tried. They definitely tried.
Yeah.
That's for sure. And
they're still fighting for him. Like, he can't fight for himself, so we'll all fight for him. Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. Wow. Well, thank you so much for bringing that to our attention. That was a deep dive, I'm sure, and so personal to you. I feel like you're like so personally connected to it.
Well, just because I read through so much stuff, but so I feel like there's so much more, like I said, that I know, that because this would be like a 2-hour podcast or days long.
Yeah, I believe it.
And it's still going because we are going to have a conversation. So
absolutely. Yes. So we are going to have Raven on, which is going to be absolutely amazing. So you guys do not cut us off. Yep. There is more to be had, and stay tuned for that. So let's see what Raven has to say.
All right. Okay, guys, here we are. We mentioned in the episode about Alexavier that we were going to hopefully have a little conversation with Raven, and we are with her right now. And so, Raven, if you want to kind of give a little explanation of who you are in this story and who Alexavier was to you.
Yeah. Hi, Raven, by the way. Welcome in.
Yes, welcome.
Thank you. My name is Raven Holzer. I'm Alexavier Pedrin's maternal cousin. Alexavier is more like a little brother to me growing up. I spent a lot of time with him. Up until like the age of like, I want to say 3.5, 4-ish, because that's when the family dynamic started to split up and a bunch of all those events started to happen with the alienation and stuff like that. So that's kind of where I stand. I'm also very close with like my aunt and his older sister. She comes over here frequently.
Okay.
Can you just tell? I mean, first of all, we're so sorry.
Yes.
For this loss that you have had and all of the frustration that came prior to it. And I think we're pretty clear in our stance that it was preventable.
Yes.
And avoidable. And it's just heartbreaking that he had to be not only a victim of monsters, but the system as well.
Yes.
What was the impact of that like for your family? Like, how did that affect you guys? And
the aftermath was really traumatic. I mean, my entire family was in shock. It was like we were in shock, but it's so sad to say, but we also had that feeling that it was likely to happen if he didn't get out of that home.
Right.
We kept, we were saying these things to CPS, law enforcement, trying to reach out to a school. It was more like, this isn't true, this can't be happening. But we really didn't have time to sit there and be like, okay, he's actually gone. Like, we didn't have the time to sit there and be like, we accepted this, like still to this day, my family's still really in shock. It hits in waves like, oh, this is real. This is true. And a lot of times it's happening. It happens randomly for all of us, but a lot of times it's through holidays. Certain days or photos will show up.
Yeah.
But it's been really, really hard on his mom. She doesn't read much. She blacks it out as much as she can. Like we just planted his memorial tree on May 10th on Friday. On that morning. Yeah. That was a special day. We were able to move some of the soil onto the tree before they fully put all the covered everything up. So that was really cool. And she just breaks down a lot. So there's times she's up 4 or 5 in the morning crying, and then she's got a whole day. She's still got, her 2 girls. And then it's been a whirlwind for like a roller coaster. We haven't really been in court lately, but court is coming up, and we've all been super anxious about that. And every time court hits, it feels like this is just something that happened yesterday.
Right.
Like it just happened. And it's like you have to redo all the healing that you've done. It's a terrible place to be at. And you feel all the frustration when you're singing court. You get to hear both, you're in both arguments, and the one side. It's not what you agree with. It's really traumatic. And especially, with getting all the records that we've gotten, we haven't gotten all of them. But reading all of them and seeing that, okay, not only was he ignored the signs of his neglect and abuse, but also my family. So we kind of feel like unheard. Like we kind of feel like they took our vocal boxes out, and nothing of what we said was relevant. So it's been hard. And the only way to really get through it is if you think that, in my opinion, is like, if you think that he's just still there, it makes just getting through the day a lot easier.
Mm-hmm.
Like that.
That was really powerful. I feel like you saying that it felt like your vocal boxes were just removed, because I felt like that for you also during my, like Christy telling me all of the things, and it was just like compounding, and you're trying, and it's like, it's almost like you had no voice. No one had a voice, and he didn't have a voice, and mom didn't have a voice. And it's just, I was so frustrated for all of you, and especially for him. And then the victimization, like you said, of like the court proceedings and the justice system. And like, it's sad, but that we hear that so much, that when people have to go through the justice, it's just, I'm so sorry for all of you to have to go through that. It's just, it breaks my heart.
We have the criminal case. But we also have like where we've done the complaints and stuff, focusing how to figure all this out on top of it. Like just, with all the emotions and tension with the criminal case we're still trying to make sure that this doesn't happen again. So trying to navigate the contributing factors, such as like those involved, is also very stressful. It's been rough.
Yeah. And you guys are, wondering why nobody was listening to you, and are they even responding to you with like, why are they not providing this record or whatever it is that you're requesting?
We had a meeting with CPS, I believe in April 28th, I believe, of last year, about a month of, Alex's mom being released, Jenna coming home, and they laughed in her face. She's like, how does this happen? How does my son die? And they're sitting there and they're smiling at her. And I remember I was sitting at this table down from about 4 chairs down from the deputy director of human services here in La Crosse. And he just sat there and almost seemed anxious, because he didn't tell it as a deputy director, you should be like, okay, like confrontation and criticism on behavior usually takes place personally, in an office, but we don't feel that ever happened. And we feel like in the moment there was so much disrespect that there had to be some like something said about some moral ground, because we also had our victims advocate there with us, and he was mind blown by the treatment that we received. And they told us, for the records that we wanted, to go to our own phone company and have them print off our phone logs from the last 3 years, which is very hard to do and can be very expensive. And they wanted to see with all of my family members and everybody we knew, to print those off so we can take the time to mark off, when we called the phone number for them to make a report, so they can get them to us. And our only
when they should have the records.
Right. That was our thought, is why are you guys not having everything in record, whether it was screened in or screened out? So we just thought that was really interesting. And it took about a week for them to get us what we know is all the records. But it's...
Well, and on top of CPS, I was even really frustrated with the school system not giving her any records when there's like, she provided clear documentation that she is his mother, and
so
she should have access to all of it.
Documentation, they actually put in his demographics for his for school. So everything that she submitted, the birth certificate, I believe she submitted a couple more things, but most definitely the birth certificate we saw show up in his demographics for school as what they used as his identity. And she's the one who submitted that. So we were like, how does, if someone, for me, this is scary, because I'm a mom, I have my 2-year-old. So it's scary to think that, okay, somebody could take my child and know her name and her birthday and enroll her in a different school, and there's no questions asked. Like, and then I'm like the mother of, a kidnapped child, and they're trying to make me seem like the perpetrator. The position Jenna was in was very frustrating, especially with her being incarcerated at the time.
Right.
She, they told her that the only way she could get records is she came to the school in person with a physical ID, and they know that she couldn't do that. And regardless of that, after Alex passed, they mailed it to us, everything, all his records, his attendance and everything. So in our mind, we're like, okay, you couldn't have mailed it before, but we can mail it,
after you're wrong.
Right.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. And there was also communication between the school and Josie and Derek, the principal at Josie and Derek, that the principal was reaching out to Derek to confirm the birth certificate, which he wouldn't do. He never responded. But meanwhile, on the other hand, as these are being sent, Josie is also saying, how, Alex is sick and the other kids are sick and they can't show up to school today, or there was drama in the household, or something, the car was broken down. So these are all things that are just like, how do you not, why is he not responding? Why are you not asking her for him to respond?
Right.
So we don't really know what the relationship, we knew the relationship between Derek and Josie were very toxic and controlling. So we didn't know how far that control went to, as far as what control he really felt he had over his life, Alex's life, his education, everything, because Josie's done this before in a previous relationship. So
right. Yeah, she seemed to have a lot of the control.
Yeah.
As far as I can tell. Yeah. So.
Well, I think one of the big things that we would like to give you a platform for is what does going forward look like? Like, what is your family? How are you moving forward? What's the legacy? How can we help support it? Like, just tell us how we,
as of right now, we've been just mainly focusing on keeping his memory alive, like taking away the victimization, taking away all the bad things, and just giving him, like, especially with court happening, just kind of giving him his own presence of who he really was without being a victim. We don't want to remember him as that. So we're just trying to create this picture that this was his life. And this was one, this is the one that everybody wants to focus on, but we're trying to just make it very clear that he had a whole beautiful life before this all happened. And we like to keep that in our memory as well. But going forward, I created a petition for AJ Law. There's a couple things on there that deal with what laws need to be changed, because as I was going through records and going through the law and doing my research, I realized that I couldn't just make one petition for one specific issue. There's many issues, but I tried to find the major ones, the ones where I see other people suffering from, and it's not just us. Like, these are issues that are causing not only Alexavier, but millions of children each day, each year. It's happening every single day, that because of this law or this barrier, they're never going to see justice. Like, for example, Wisconsin doesn't have an educational neglect law, and I'm focusing on that really strongly, because without that, the consequences for staff not following up with truancy, it's like $1,000 fine or 6 months in jail. But usually that's the maximum, so for a first offense, you're probably looking at like $25. It's my best guess, or just getting it dismissed as a warning, but never really any jail time. And it's like, he missed so much school that shouldn't have happened, where if the truancy policies and procedures were pursued as they're directed, this would have never happened.
There needs to be follow-up. That's part of your job as a teacher. She wouldn't have been
able to abuse him to the extent that she had. Like, we believe that she would have been still mistreating him, but not to the extent that she had, to where Jenna wasn't able to come home and get him out of that house. So that's kind of where we would have been.
Another adult, another authority should have been involved.
Yeah,
before.
He would have been in school all day, and somebody else would have noticed other things that were going on. I mean, I would imagine there would be somebody that he crossed paths with that would have figured it out.
And in our complaint with the school, we did mention that we thought that somebody should have been able to see something, especially with how things are going, like the routine of him being chronically ill without a doctor's note, and they never really even requested one of those. It was just really bothersome, honestly. Sorry. It was really bothersome. And then not only the truancy parts of it, but in the illness, but the injuries, his appearance coming to school. I mean, he was losing weight. He was dropping weight every single week. I mean, every doctor's appointment, he would drop weight. And the only time he gained weight was when he broke his leg and was in there probably getting fluids, or whatever they, actually being fed and, given something to drink, because she had, allegedly she had locks and on the fridge and the cupboards, and based on, the other statements of the children in the home, she also was very, she limited his access and resources available to drink or eat. And it was only him.
She had done that before to the other child, right? Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that she did that to when she was 1 and 3. I'm not really sure why the system was allowing both of those, the couple, Dustin and Josie, to be together alone with the child. But I think it was the fact that they were living with her mom when she was 3, who didn't report that for months. Like, it was to the point where if she didn't go to the doctor, that little girl would have been Alex. And it's very upsetting that, there was no accountability for the mom not reporting, especially, because she works in healthcare. It's scary.
Right. Yeah. I remember reading that. Yeah. So do you have you mentioned that you've started AJ's Law Petition. Do you have a website, or are you still building that up? Like, where can our listeners go and find this information, or find a petition, find you to help in any way that they can?
There's a link tree. If you look up Justice for Alexavier. Yeah, so there's a link tree. Like, if you look up Justice for Alexavier link tree, it has all of the social media listed under there. That's really nice to have. Okay. Just to navigate we have a bunch of platforms, and then it also has the petition on there. But if you just look up Justice for Alexavier on change.org, it's on there as well. I am working on a website.
So we'll link all of this too.
We'll link it all on our show notes and social media too, I'm sure. So thank you. Yeah. Okay. Well, is there
I just have one thing that I want to say, because you had mentioned that one of your biggest like a goal for you is to just have Alexavier not be a victim. Yes. And to remember what a beautiful life and a beautiful person that he was before that. Can you just give us a brief idea of like your memories of him and how we can remember him?
He's very energetic, very playful. He loved to tell jokes. He loved cars. He loved going to the races. He loved trucks. He really liked to, hear the sounds of them. He was just kind of goofy, He crawled on you all the time. He was one. It was getting to a point where he was like, "Can I play on your phone? Can I play on your phone? Can I please play on your phone?" And he'd only have to ask me like 2 or 3 times because I had 8 9 different apps on there that he would take my storage up on. But he loved to play outside too. So he wasn't just like a tablet kid. He loved to play with other kids. He was very friendly. He got along with everybody. There wasn't really many people that would, kids that would be like, oh, he's mean. He was very like, let's just all get along. Let's just all play. He grew up with his youngest 2 cousins as well. They're all in the same age group. And I think that kind of helped him with the whole sharing thing because the age gap between him and Aubrey. But he never, he also went to daycare. So he was able to grow up in an atmosphere full of other kids. So he was just very, he was very loving and, he would give you hugs and kisses and he'd come snuggle up by you just randomly throughout the day. Yeah. And he
sounds like a real sweet little guy.
Yeah, he was. I could go on forever.
Yeah. Well, thank you for sharing that with us. And I also and I know Christy, will mirror this as well, as we're just so thankful that you trusted us with
thank you.
His story and this awful, horrific thing that your family has gone through. But in the end, it is about Alexavier and his legacy and his life. And I think that you are extremely brave and strong, and you are quite the Alexavier warrior.
Thanks.
And we support that and love that so much. So I just wanted to thank you for all of that.
Yes, thank you
for being
so
who
much.
you are and being as strong as you are and trusting us with his story.
Yes. Yeah.
I appreciate it. And I appreciate the time and the effort you guys have taken to share it. I know it's kind of been a hectic just to get this all scheduled, but I appreciate it. And so does my family. So thank you.
Absolutely. So we will link everything that Raven will send us. If you guys have any questions about anything, or if you have any advice or resources, we would love for you to reach out to us. We appreciate you guys so much for listening. This was such a special time for us, and we just cannot thank Raven enough, and certainly want Alexavier to live on and rest in peace and have a legacy. And we are so happy to contribute to that. We'll be back next Monday for another case. Come find us on all the social media, and we love you. And always remember, the world is scary. People suck. Hide in your closet.